Welcome to the Wildcast podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Welcome back and welcome into Wildcast Studios on YouTube, not on Rogers TV, for a live trade deadline episode preview show. We are the Platinum Award-winning and longest-running QMJHL podcast, the unofficial voice of your 2025 Joko Toro Trophy champions. We are presented by Discount Flooring Service, a division of Fabulous Flooring, home to the largest variety of high-end current discontinued lines in hardwood, ceramic vinyl, laminate flooring, luxury model tiles, and even blinds for immediate purchase. You can visit them at 320 Collishaw Street or call them at 859-9909. As always, fan listeners, I am joined by your favorite co-hoster, Mr. YQM, Mr. Starbucks, Mr. Platinum DoorDash at your service, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. You got your Christmas stuff? You're ready to go.
I am, and you know what? YQM's listening.
I have it written down. This is why you are called Mr. YQM. You've come on here for 2 years.
For 2 years demanding Nickelback.
And there was a post asking people what they'd rather have, Brooks and Dunn or Nickelback. If you're not voting Nickelback, you're a liar.
Yeah. So when I voted, it was 53% Nickelback, 47% Brooks and Dunn.
I mean, I like Brooks and Dunn, but it's got to be Nickelback.
It's got to be Nickelback. Need some Canadian content, and it just shows that they are, in fact, listening to the people. So they got to give the people what they want.
We think we're a big deal, but sometimes we actually are a big deal. We're making some change.
We can twist that festival around and make it a country rock,
like Country Thunder.
Yeah. We can do our own little thing and take over Scotty and Tony for emceeing the night the Nickelback's in town. So
we're available. Yeah. We're readily available. And as always, fan listeners, I'm your elf, Adam Lund, and I am joined, like I said, by Mr. Boucher. Don't forget to always follow us on the social medias: Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok, Wildcast Podcast. And while you're here, if you're not already subscribed, click the bell, click the subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of these. As you can see, we are here for a live trade deadline show. It's not just you and me talking about all the teams. We brought some friends with us, so we're going to jump right into it. From the Islanders, we've got Luke Match. Luke, how are you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I appreciate you taking the time. From the Regiment, who we would face in the first round if the season ended today, play-by-play boys, Seth Hyde. How are you, Seth?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you guys?
Well,
pretty good.
Pretty good. Got my Santa list off. Got my letter written. So
excellent.
Here's hoping. From the Mooseheads, Dustin Red. How are you, Dustin? Oh, wrong button. There it is. Hey, Dustin.
There it is.
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And as you can see, the OG from the Sea Dogs, Jamie Tozer, again. Thanks for showing up and adding to that list there, Jamie.
Thank you. And been on so many times, okay, that you ruined my intro.
No, it's all right.
I was bound to ruin one, man. Like the first time in 9 years.
I think while we should say happy belated birthday to Jamie Tozer as well.
Thank you.
Still looking not a day over 25.
Yeah, I was gonna say still looking 25.
Accurate.
Don't let that beard fold you, folks. Yep. I guess just your guys' thoughts on each of your teams' first half. I don't know who wants to go first. Just are you where you thought you'd be? Are you playing above your head, or are you not quite meeting expectations?
Yeah, I can kick it off first with the Islanders. I think that we had a really strong start. Now things have kind of caught up to us a little bit. We've had a little bit of injury problems. Maybe a few times we haven't scored as much as we'd like to. It's tough, because we just played Halifax in a home and home. And one night we lose 5-2, and then the next night we win 5-1, and we look like we're awesome. So right now it's kind of a tough spot for the Charlottetown Islanders, and we'll get into it later regarding the trade deadline as to what direction they want to go. But for the Charlottetown Islanders right now, I think it's all about next year. They're still building towards next year, although depending on a few things here in the upcoming weeks, that could change with the trade deadline.
Seth?
The Regiment are in a pretty similar situation as Luke's Islanders there. I mean, obviously we had a great start to the season against Moncton. Sorry to bring up bad memories, guys.
We're good now.
But then after that, it was kind of, we'd win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 2. Then we'd win 1, lose 1. We've kind of been a bit streaky ever since. And obviously playing in a new building in a new city is a bit of an adjustment for these guys. And they're playing in front of almost a sold out building every night. So they've been kind of adjusting for most of the season, but they've started to find their groove a little bit lately. And just like the Islanders, I think they're kind of building for next year. They're going to keep a lot of their guys next year. Obviously, Ben and Quinn are huge assets to have in the future, as well as Fenwick and Kovaluzzi coming up in the future as well. So I think that similar to the Islanders, they're kind of building for next year.
Dustin?
It's going to sound like I'm stealing their notes, but very, very similar to Luke and Seth. I think the Moose are lining things up for next year and the year after. Certainly in terms of where they're at now, 6th in the East, 10th overall, I'm happy with that. I didn't see them being much higher. I think earlier in the year, they kind of caught a few teams off guard. Maybe those teams like Moncton, who didn't have Caleb back or had other players at NHL camps like other teams. I think they were able to benefit from that a bit. But right now, I think what's I'm certainly noticing in some games when they played Charlottetown or how they got pushed around by some big forwards in Moncton. Size, I think, is becoming an issue for them on the back end and with some forwards, and I think it's becoming a big difference. So we'll get more into that in a minute. But I'd say for now, it's about as expected, but I was happy with their hot start.
Jamie, how are the Sea Dogs? I mean, they're not quite up there, but they seem to put good games together.
Yeah, I'll bring the vibes down a little bit. I think it's been a pretty disappointing first half for the Sea Dogs, I think, and I think most people within the organization would admit that too. And I think being outside the playoff picture at the first half is not where this team envisioned being. The numbers, I think they're 12 and 17. I think if you told them at the beginning of the year that's kind of where they would end up with the first half, I don't think it'd be, it's not where they want to be, but okay. It's still a pretty young group. It's still a group that doesn't have a lot of Q experience. There's a lot of new players, okay. But I think it's more just been the way they've been playing on the ice. I don't think it's just, you see the talents there. It's just not clicking, and it's not been clicking consistently. And we saw it the first 2 weeks of the season. There's lots of promise, but really once, mid-October and November hit, they've really struggled. And again, like we saw this road trip in Quebec, we saw glimpses again where this team looked really good, but then also glimpses where this team looked really average and kind of lost out there. So it's been a very odd first half, a disappointing one, and I can certainly understand why St. John opted to remove the general manager title from Travis Trickard to allow him to focus on coaching, because I do think that this team and organization really believes that there's a lot of talent here that's just not been unlocked yet. And obviously this is not a go for it year. This is not a team that, is expected to finish, in the top half or the top few spots in the league or anything like that. But I think that this organization believes that there's a lot more that can come out of this group. And I would expect a different second half from this team. And that's certainly what the organization is hoping for.
I think if we started, we'll start this next segment off with where we ended it. So we'll start with Tozer.
Yeah.
Kind of work our way back around.
We got another guest here.
Oh, Well, Patty McNeil's back from
Patty McNeil is back.
Looks like he's back from his team dinner. Yeah. So we'll bring this guy on and we'll
look at that fancy guy.
Look at that. Holy smokes.
Can you hear us there, Pat?
What's that?
You can hear us?
I can.
Top Pat and Kane. Talk about stepping out for a night on the town.
I'll be sad if there's people here who don't get that reference.
I guess just before Jeremy finishes his question, your thoughts on your first half for the Eagles? Where they thought they'd be, not quite up to expectations. Where are you at?
Ended up getting to where I thought they would end up being. I think obviously scoring goals was a bit challenging at the start of the year. The goaltending we thought could be a strength turned out to be an even bigger strength than I think we thought. As one of the best defensive teams we've had in Cape Breton, probably the best outside of the true title contenders, I would say. I think that's a fair statement. And it's been fun to watch the run the last little while. 7 of the last 8's a pretty good way to go into the last weekend of the first half of the season.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with Pat, kind of lead this off. But I guess just getting into, trade period expectations, I think the worst kept secret in the league is Thomas Laval right now with, with the speculation Pat's
Don't know what you're talking
knows,
about.
Pat knows nothing about that. The speculation of him, going to Chicoutimi by the looks of it, that are just putting together an absolute unit of a team. I think we kind of have an idea of what the return will be on that. You're probably looking at a prospect, a player, and probably a couple of first-round picks. As a fan base, should Eagles fans be excited about that return?
Yeah, based on some of the speculation, and I know we're joking around, but in terms of specifics, people will be shocked at the stuff that goes on in our organization that I don't know about, which I think is a credit to both them and me, I guess, in a way. But based on the precedent, when a star player gets traded, you expect a certain return, and I have no reason to doubt that what will be what comes our way, assuming this all goes as is being reported. So, it's obviously going to be disappointment if you part ways with a guy who's been such a key part of your team for 3.5 years. But sometimes you'll get prices that you just can't say no to, right? And particularly, too, a guy like Lavoie or Bernier, who I'm sure you probably talked about as well, is going to command a big price anyway. But this year, similar to last year, as you guys know, because Moncton had a strong team last year, it seems like back-to-back years where there's probably not a lot of 19-year-old stars. Shameless plug for myself. I've got a column coming out in the Cape Breton Posts, and no disrespect to any of the players in the QMJHL, but I was kind of looking for big names to be available. So the ones that get put out there might command an even heavier price than usual.
And the ones that are out there are guys on teams that aren't going to get dealt, or
Exactly.
teams that are going to keep moving. I mean, Beckman to Newfoundland. That's the big rumor there, Seth. You're dialed in. Let's hear it. Breaking news. Your first one. Let's go.
Well, I'm a little bit like Patrick.
No!
I don't really know a lot what's going on the inside because
Got to make sure you stay on the payroll by the end of the day tomorrow. So
bosses are watching, going, "What's he gonna say?"
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm a little bit like Patrick. Like I don't really know much of the insides and outs that's going on with the regiment, but I did hear about that they did check in on Beckman, which would be unbelievable for the regiment to have. I mean, obviously, they've had a tough goaltending scenario right now. We have 3 unbelievable goaltenders. I mean, Antoine Plou is our goaltender of the future. We all know that. He's going to be playing his junior career with the regiment. He's come out and he said that he's going to try to stay with us as long as he can. Obviously, Chase has been amazing this year. Mikas as well just made Team Latvia in the World Junior Hockey Championship. So obviously, if Beckman does come in, we're going to have to part ways with one of those guys, and I can't see it being Plou. So, I would think that it'd be Anderson or Vigvanig should we go after Beckman. But like I said, it's going to be tough, having 3 goaltenders. And should Beckman come in for one of those 2 guys, I mean, that's still 3 amazing goalies. So it's a bit of a tough situation, but it would be a great pickup for the team.
It's tough to find a way to get all of them ice time when you've got finding ice time for 2 of them is tough enough sometimes. In Charlottetown, is it an all-in? I know you said they're gunning for next year, but I mean, it seems like they got to kind of get some playoff wins. A few times we've had Corey on. I mean, this team hasn't won a round in 3 years, something like that. Like it's time to maybe push it all in as you guys kind of sit third in the conference right now.
Yeah, it's been since 2022, whenever we were in the finals, that we last won a playoff game. So it has been a while. This group that we have here doesn't have a whole lot of playoff experience. You got guys like Marcus Kiersey, Ross Campbell, Matt Butler. These guys have not won a playoff series yet, and it's not on them. The team was clearly in a rebuild since they've been here. But this is a year that I think that we will get a few more playoff wins. We might actually win a series. Which would be nice for sure. You take a look at the trade deadline. There's a few things for us that kind of stick out right away that I think anybody would be able to figure out. Backup goalie is the first thing that really sticks out to me. Donald Hickey's clearly the number one. I think he's been the team MVP throughout the season. Nathan Leake is making a bit of a push now. He's been really good as of late. I'd look outside of the league for potential options for the Islanders. I don't know if they want to really trade assets for a backup goalie. They might see what's out in the free agent market, see if they can pick up somebody from junior or maybe somebody on waivers from a different league. Another thing would be a scorer, right? We've had a little bit of trouble finding the back of the net, and that's been a theme here with us for a few years now. So I would say a top 6 forward would definitely be on the outlook for us as well. And that really leads me into our big import, Ivan Ribikin. We're waiting on him. I think that's the main thing. I think that if there's news that he's coming to Charlottetown, that maybe there'd be some more trades. This is just my thoughts. I think that might sway Jim Holton to make a few more moves if we do land Ribikin. If he doesn't come, maybe a few minor moves, maybe something on the back end, a little bit more scoring from the back end has been talked about. We can play great defensively, but maybe a little bit more offense from the back end as well. But really, at the end of the day, it all kind of rolls around that one certain import player, where if he's in Charlottetown, you might see a few more trades from Jim Holton.
Yeah, and I think we're here in Moncton, we're kind of banking on a certain 20-year-old coming back from the AHL. So, that's in the Calgary Flames' hands, not ours. But I think since day one, I think from early September, I've said that, if Cam Squires just happens to get sent back to the queue, what a lovely spot it would be for him in Charlottetown, and I'll stick to that. I know he's having success right now in the AHL, but you'd think I think maybe they were expecting a little more production from him this year, so I'm sticking with it. I think it'd be a perfect spot for him, and if you guys had Ryabkin and Squires, that you guys are right there.
Yeah, so I did. I kicked the tires a bit on that one with Squires, and I asked around. I don't think that's going to happen. From what I've been told, there's some injuries in the AHL now. He's getting more consistent playoff time. I did wonder about that. It was certainly a conversation earlier on in the year, but I think that's kind of past already. I don't think there's a very small chance that he might be back in the QMJHL. And even then, we'd have to go and poach him from Patty's Cape Breton Eagles. So I'm
not giving them away.
And we have 420s right now as it is, too. So there's something to sort out as well. And I know I was on earlier, and you guys said maybe Nathan Leake would be the odd man out, but it's kind of hard to throw him out now whenever he's leading the team in points. He's got more than 20 goals. So kind of throws a wrench into things, but I'm not so sure that Cam Squires is going to be back in the queue this year.
Well, who needs 20s? The guy right there in the middle. In Halifax, they need some 20s. Obviously, you guys have had a good start to the season, kind of 6th overall right now, but is this team going to subtly buy a little bit to kind of have some playoff success, or is it a go with the guys we got right now?
Well, I'm hopeful that they don't sell too many of their assets to try to go harder this year. I mean, we got some good experience last year upsetting Drummondville. That was great experience for the young crew that they had, and a lot of those returned except for their overagers. We just picked up Samuel Rousseau, who is the Huskies property, but was playing in the BCHL this year. So he brings a bit of size in. He already slots in as their second heaviest forward. So it's good because they've got a few small guys. And so when they run into some of the other bigger teams, they're really struggling getting that position in front of the net in offensive zone or even on defense, right, clearing the front. So I'm hopeful they don't do too much more so that they mortgage the future. It'd be nice to see them perhaps add someone that's maybe not necessarily another 20-year-old, but a guy like Gilbert from Baie-Comeau, who's like, I think he's 6'6", big guy, 220. Yeah. So okay, there you go. So
he's not 6'7".
Not 6'7".
Not 6'7".
Oh God. Yeah.
We get it in once the show.
I've been noticing. I don't have any intel. I'll be very clear, but I mean, looking at what's around, and I think what they need, they either need another bigger defenseman, or the defenseman they have to start playing bigger. I mean, or maybe Cam Russell gets them to watch some of his old videos. Like they just need to play like they're either mad, or I just find the last few games it's been frustrating as a fan watching. Not going to name names, but you can kind of tell they're just, I don't know. They just don't have it. Since Brad gave that speech and kind of raked them over the coals there the other day that the video was online, I think that's what they needed. I think they needed a bit of a jolt, but then, they go on the road and they lose to Moncton and Charlottetown. But I think they're doing what they can. I think they need a bit more size, and the players they do have need to start playing a bit bigger and just with more energy. The one thing I think we're missing right now too, Brady McPhee. Right. When we had him last year, like, he played bigger than he was, and he brought the energy, and he wasn't scared. And I'm not saying they're playing scared, but there just seems to be some times where they're not willing to pay the price, and it ends up in our net. And I think if they can somehow, if Brad can bring that around, whether it's with the group we have, or we insert a guy like Gilbert, who's a big defenseman, or maybe another player. I was actually, Adam and I were chatting about this earlier in the week, Alexei Bork from Victoriaville. What a nice 20-year-old that would be. But they probably don't want to let him go with the two Russians he's on the same line with, right, to help them grow. So it's easy to say, we'd want these guys, but then what do you have to give up, right? And I don't think, like, much to what Luke and Seth have said, you don't want to give up too much. And when this isn't the year. I mean, let's be honest, like, they're not getting out of the East against Moncton or Chicoutimi, right? So
No.
I think it's, you prepare, right? And you try to position yourself for next year. And they've got the draft that they're hosting. They've got 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders. So I think Cam will do a splash in June and position us well. But I don't think there's a whole lot more coming in this trade period. But this could be wrong.
Yeah, Jamie, we'll get to here in just a sec. But I want to kind of follow up on Dustin here. I mean, if you bring in guys, if spending the assets on those guys to bring them in, would you be against trading a guy like Owen Phillips, who could be an amazing acquisition for, for a contending team, like a Blainville or a Moncton, or, Chicoutimi at this point? I don't think they're going to have any room on the back end for anybody at this point. But Owen Phillips could fetch a nice return, and you could just easily go and use those assets and get a guy like Gilbert if that's what you're looking for. Do you think there's maybe an opportunity for that to happen, or do you think he's too homegrown, too close, to the Mooseheads organization, being a local kid to maybe trade away at this point?
No, we're on the same page, Jeremy. I hope Owen doesn't see this, but I think for the strength of the franchise, if they were to make similar to that move you made, because the issue I'm seeing is next year they've got a lot of overagers, right? So they're the young team now, but next year you've got Kennedy, Phillips, Woe, Talifer, Brisson, Net. Like, they're going to lose a 20-year-old next year anyway. So if you can maybe parlay that right now and make your team better next year, I'd be all for it, because someone's going to be on the outside looking in next training camp. So we'll see.
Jamie, I don't think we've gotten to you yet. I think we were going to get to you, but then Pat showed up pull the party here. So,
classic Pat.
there's you look at St. John's roster, and they've probably got a couple pieces that I would say would be intriguing to some teams. Beaulieu and maybe a Justin Robinson as maybe a backup goalie addition. I think right now there's I think I can probably, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but there is a lot of talk that Beaulieu will be going to Blainville, and it will be a lot more involved in that trade than people think. So I think St. John will make out pretty well with that. What would you say, like, if someone were to call Trevor Georgie and ask about the availability of a Justin Robinson, what would you say his value would be at this point?
Yeah, and certainly for Robinson, I don't think it's too high. Unfortunately for him, I think he's once again kind of shown signs here and there that he's a quality goaltender, and we saw that even recently. But there's just been so many nights where he hasn't quite looked quite dialed into the game, and I don't think he's quite evolved as a goaltender as much as St. John had hoped. His rookie season looked really strong, and just kind of hasn't been able to quite build off that consistently, unfortunately for him. But again, like, he has shown signs, and like, I could see a a team that does have, a quality veteran goaltender, maybe looking at Robinson as a possible backup, because he does have quite a bit of Q experience now. But and I would think St. John would be pretty comfortable with Raphael Courchain, maybe not necessarily carrying the load completely, but certainly being 1A or 1B of a goaltending tandem. He's looked pretty solid. But like Robinson, also hasn't looked consistently like a number one goaltender every night. So I think the biggest question mark is kind of around what St. John's going to do with that goaltending situation heading into the deadline. So we'll see kind of where that leads. And they also have a general manager who, as you guys may know, has traded for one or two goaltenders in his time as general manager. I would imagine has maybe the record for goaltenders moved
in one season, actually,
or the past decade. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. And, before Trevor Georgie kind of came back as GM, I didn't think we were going to kind of be in for a very eventful deadline here in St. John. But I think his return kind of signaled the fact that, okay, like this isn't going quite as St. John envisioned. And now I do kind of wonder if we might see some action that maybe we didn't expect. I don't think we're going to see any blockbusters, but at the same time, I don't think it's impossible at this point, just because, I think that this group is not too pleased with where this team is at right now. Mm-hmm. So I do think that it's not an impossibility. And I do think that there's, I think it's impossible for the team to ignore the frustration of the fan base right now. Like, the fans are not happy with how this team has performed on the ice. This team, I actually added it up the other day. This team has 8 home wins this year. And by this year, I mean the calendar year 2025. That is a really rough stretch. This is a team that has not won a playoff series in almost a decade, with the asterisks of the Memorial Cup, obviously, but they have not had a lot to cheer for over the past 10 years. So this is a fan base that really wants to see quality hockey. And I think that taking a step back, I don't think is really of interest to this fan base right now. So I could see St. John either standing pat, trying to build off of the first half and trying to improve, or making a few improvements here and there that doesn't jeopardize their future.
And I'll throw it out to the group of each other's teams. Which general manager in this Christmas trade period is under the most pressure for the fan base to make some moves, whether it's building for next year, kind of pushing all in, even though it's really it's a more wide open race than last year. And I think we talked about there's 5 teams: Blainville, us, Chicoutimi, Charlottetown, and I'm putting Newfoundland in there just with the picks you guys have and looking at what Bathurst was last year and the start you got. So not picking your own team, which GM do you think has the most pressure in this trade period to kind of appease the fans in this Christmas season?
Yeah, I don't know about pressure, but opportunity. And I look at Sly Couturier. I think that he's a great opportunity here to really kind of lay the foundation for the next Eagles team. I'm sure, Pat, you might agree with me. You might disagree with me and tell me that I'm an idiot. But I think that with the Lavoie trade, right, you aren't going to get nothing for him. You're going to get quite a load back for him. You take a look. I mean, their goaltending, Pat, you mentioned it. It's been really good, as has their defense. I wonder if maybe a goalie goes out or something and you get a big piece back for that too. So I don't know if you have anything to add, but I think that Sly is a great opportunity here to help build the future for the Eagles.
Yeah, to speak to Cape Breton, and I'll kind of give my take on other teams in a second, but it's an interesting situation because you come into the deadline hot, and obviously anything that goes down, if it happens with Lavoie, is going to be something that was prearranged, so that's not going to get altered. But then you look at where the team goes from there. I think the team now has kind of gotten a taste for wanting to be competitive this year, so Sly was on with me on the radio the other day. He wasn't expecting. He basically said, we're not going to be selling, although obviously people have certain expectations of things that are going to happen. But you look at the past when the Eagles traded Dubois or Batherson, they could make other moves there to add to the team on top. So I don't think you'll see a lot, but you should always listen. The old cliche, if Wayne Gretzky was traded, particularly the way goaltending is. And in a weird sort of way, Connor Toll might be a more intriguing piece than Felix Amel just because he doesn't take up a 20-year-old spot. This is dovetailing away both from what Luke asked me and both from what you guys asked. But before I forget, I want to say the whole NCAA thing is going to be an interesting ripple in this too, because you might see 18-year-olds start to get treated like 19-year-olds used to. Like, you look at a total wild card in the trade period would be a guy like Nathan Quinn in Quebec, because he's 18, but he has an NCAA commit. The Ramparts aren't, they're not the league this year, but they want to get better. So is he going to be a guy that gets sold if Halifax does decide to sell? Is Kilfoyle available? Like, are they confident that he's going to be back next year? I think he would be, but that's another interesting wrinkle. In terms of pressure around the division, I probably St. John, just because of what Jamie was saying. Obviously, they felt a need to make a change. Charlottetown might have some self-imposed pressure in that they thought that this was going to be a year that they really need to take a step up. But I feel even if they did minimal, they have a pretty good chance of at least getting to the second round. But with St. John, you said the fans are getting antsy. And that's another thing that's making this trade period interesting is as of today, there's only 5 teams under 500. And a lot of those teams are teams that have not had success in a long time. Like, to me, the top 4 available is Nathan Brisson. But if you're a Val-d'Or fan, you've seen your team do nothing since 2021. So
yeah,
how much do you sell? How much can you sell a message of positivity to them? So yeah, St. John, it might be just because it's been so long since they've had success in the playoffs, but this is a really, really tricky trade market. It's last year, it didn't seem like there was a lot available. This year, it seems like there maybe could be stuff available, but I don't think any of the teams that could sell want to sell.
I think this Lavoie trade is the first piece of the 2028 bid for the Memorial Cup in Sydney. That's my that's my gut. I think if they can, I think if you build around with a guy like L'Italien, and I know Boyer's not exactly, he tore up U18 in Quebec last year. He's not exactly having a great start to the year. Jacob Hartland looks like he's heart and soul kind of guy, and that's, you get 2 pieces in that deal, and you get 2 first-round picks. That's a good start to putting together a roster for 2028.
Yeah, I think whether it was Cape Breton or any other team that wanted to throw their name in the ring, like say for example, Gatineau would be another example of fans that might be kind of fatigued, but if they were to say, I mean, Golucci should be one of the most valuable players out there too. If there's enough spaces for Europeans, you'd have to think that selling those guys would be, hey, we want the Memorial Cup. I don't know if Newfoundland is too new in the league to say, hey, we're going to sell Justin LaRose because we want to host the Memorial Cup in 2028. Might be tough to sell on a still learning fan base, but yeah, it's definitely an angle, not just potentially in Cape Breton, but a couple other cities around the league that might have aspirations of hosting that event.
Seth, who's under the most pressure?
I think I'm going to go in the direction of Jim Holton, only because we saw the start that the Charlottetown Islanders had. It was unbelievable. And when you have confidence in your starting goalie, like Donald Hickey, I know every time that we play the Islanders, the biggest talking point in the room is Donald Hickey. How do we score on Donald Hickey? How can we beat Donald Hickey? How do we, that's literally the entire thing the team talks about is Donald Hickey. Every game the Islanders have beaten us, it's been because of Donald Hickey. So when you have a good starting goaltender that you're confident in, I mean, we've seen it in the NHL, we've seen it in the AHL. A starting goalie that's good can carry the weight in the postseason. And I think right now, out of all of our teams here, the Islanders have the best starting goaltender. And I might be a little biased because he's a Newfoundlander. But
really, out of all of us, the best starting goaltender. I'm gonna let you sit on that. I'm gonna it's your show.
Okay, I'll give you Rudy Guimond. Rudy Guimond is very good. But
Hickey's good. I'll give you that. Hickey's good.
I'll say out of all the broadcasters here, I would say Donald Hickey.
I won't say anything. But
I'm not going to argue. That's a great pick. That's a great pick.
Melontold stats are pretty good.
Seth looking for his Christmas bonus here a week early here.
Yeah, Gordy Dwyer is one of these accounts. He's got to be on there. He's got to be. Dustin?
So I think Luke and I are sharing notes somehow, but I was going to say what Luke said with regards to Cape Breton, and I think they really need to get it right with the asset they have in Lavoie. So maybe if I can break a rule, I think Cam Russell's is under a bit of pressure as well. Like, obviously, we're not expecting a championship season, but 2 years ago we were supposed to do well, and we get swept by what is now Newfoundland, but Bathurst. Yeah. And there's been a lot of money put into their dressing room just now by ownership, and with all of the positions they're creating with to make sure the team is with therapy and making sure that they're physically where they need to be. There's a lot of money being put into this team, and I we got to think that he needs to get it right in the next year or two. And what I mean is not the pressure to necessarily go all in, but I think microscope wise, he needs to make the right moves so that a city that is really becoming, I think, antsy and wants to see a championship team again, I'd have to throw Cam in there. I know that's against the rules, Adam, but I think he's under the microscope a fair bit.
Strike one.
Yeah.
Tozer?
Yeah, I'd probably follow the lead of most of everyone else and say the Eagles are under the most pressure here, just because there's a lot on the line here to get right for their future. I do think Newfoundland's interesting though to me. I think I do think the Regiment are maybe under a little bit of pressure, just because I'm sure the ownership group would love to really come out with a big bang this year. And I think us as, the hockey nerds kind of understand where they're at and, the proper things they should and shouldn't do. But I do kind of wonder about the Regiment and is there going to be some pressure to kind of, make a move to really give this team an extended playoff run in their first year?
Who would you pick?
Taylor McDougall.
You can't break a rule.
It doesn't.
You got to pick one of their teams.
It doesn't win GM of the year last year,
That's
so
true.
he's coming back with a vengeance here. He wants that trophy. No, I don't know.
I think it's Newfoundland. I think in the first year with the picks they have, I know the Chicoutimi's got just about as many, but I think that, if the fans are reading the boards and seeing things, and Lucas Beckman is attached to that and what he can do and what we've seen in the past 2 years that he's done in Baie-Comeau against us, you add him to that team. I think Gordy Dwyer is probably under the most pressure to get something done to make sure it's a long playoff run. And there's nothing better in a new market than being able to win. And they got off to a hot start. They've fallen a little bit, but I mean, goals for 110, goals against 105. They gotta keep the puck out of the back of the net in the second half.
Yep, somebody's gonna jump in. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that's been a big issue for the Regiment this year. We're either not scoring or our offense is on fire. We lost the game a couple weekends ago against Halifax 8-5. It's just we can't seem to fire on all cylinders since opening weekend. Then the next night we win 7-0. When our offense is on, the rest of the team is on. When LaRose is playing well, when Danacek is playing well, the rest of the team seems to get motivated, seems to get confident. Okay, our top guys are doing good, so we can do good. They need a bit more depth. And I know that they've checked in on some forward depth throughout this trade deadline. They've also been looking for, a tough defenseman as well, because they have been getting pushed around a little bit. And we've taken a lot of retaliatory penalties this year. We took a lot against Halifax a couple weekends ago.
That's Halifax's fault.
We took a couple against, exactly. We took a couple against Charlottetown as well. It seems
again, that's their fault.
They're very good at drawing penalties out of us. So you can see a bit of fear in the guys to kind of retaliate. We kind of have a bit of a younger team, if that makes any sense. We're a bit of a mix, and our defensive core is a little bit young. Besides Emile Perron, no offense to the guy. I mean, I know it still feels weird to call 20-year-olds veterans. But they've been definitely looking for some tougher, more aged defensemen to kind of bring that young D-line together. And, of course, we haven't had very good luck with professional sports teams on the Rock. The Maple Leafs came and gone. The Ice Caps came and gone. The Fog Devils came and gone. The Growlers. So I know this ownership group is very motivated. This team is very motivated. Glenn Stanford and Ken O'Leary want to keep professional hockey here. And I would agree that Gordy Dwyer is under a lot of pressure to start this franchise off with a bang.
Well, I think Pat can agree with me that when Emile Perron was drafted as a 16-year-old, he looked like he was 25, so he's probably about 35 years old now. So, he's a veteran back there.
That was all I wanted to say. Continue.
Yeah. One more before I end. There's some fan questions in here, and Brent DeBourne's got some. So, it is Christmas. If you're putting on a Christmas list and a Christmas wish for Santa in the second half, what's one thing you want to see? Obviously, you want to see a championship. We get that. That's the standard answer. But what's one thing you want to see under the tree as an Islanders fan or in the media? And we'll start with the Islanders, and we'll just go around the horn.
Yeah, I got two. The first one, I want to see Ilya Rybkin under the Christmas tree. That's
We
the
don't.
main thing. The stocking stuffer would be to win a playoff series. I think that's going to be really big for this group. I think that it's obvious that the way that Jim's going is he wants the overage group of Butler, Campbell, and potentially Kiersey, NCAA permitting, Marcus Kiersey. I think that next year is going to be the big year that we push. But this year, I want to see the team get some wins in the playoffs. I want them to have that experience. I want them to know what it feels like to win a series and also know what it's like to just compete in a series, not face off against a Quebec Ramparts or a Baie-Comeau Drakkar.
Pat?
Depending on the direction, if the team kind of stays as it is,
What do you want, Pat? What do you want?
Well, I like making you frustrated, Adam. I'd be, obviously everybody wants to win, and I think it's at the point now where that's realistic for the Eagles that they could win a round in the playoffs or have home ice in the playoffs. I mean, they're sitting in home ice right now. If for whatever reason they decided to do a quasi blow up, I'd like to see more from the younger guys because we haven't had the standout rookie performances from some of the guys that came up from U18, and not to knocking the work ethic or their efforts or whatnot, but we haven't seen like the star. Heartland's had a decent season. We like guys like Anders and Boyer, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe more from the bottom part of the lineup. As hard as those guys are working, I'd like to see that get rewarded.
Dustin?
I think for me, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but I'd love to see the defense start making life a living hell for the other team's forwards. I just feel that everyone's being kind of soft in front of the net, and like to see them play a lot harder that way, and then a few of the forwards as well. I like the way Carrier and Walters, they do bring some of the energy. Often it leads in penalties, though. But if they can find that gear and have that energy, like a certain Brady McPhee type player can step up on the forward group, and maybe that's Samuel Rousseau for the rest of the season, who's coming in from the Huskies. That for me would be just seeing them play more physical. They've got talent. They've got a really talented group, whether it's L'Italien who can bring the puck, he can go end to end. And they've got some really talented players, but I feel they need to play the other part of the game so that they don't get pushed around by teams like Moncton and the like. So that would be my wish, that they play with more physicality, or I'm not encouraging spearing or anything like that, but if they can start kind of hacking some shin pads and just making life miserable for some forwards on the other teams.
So piss and vinegar. That's what he thinks. All right.
Truculence, maybe.
Tozer.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple. I think I touched on it earlier. Some home success for the Sea Dogs. Now, this is a fan base that is not even necessarily dying for wins at home. I think they're just dying to be entertained and to go to the rink and see some competitive hockey. And the Sea Dogs have been pretty respectable on the road this season. That just hasn't translated to home ice. So it'd be great to see the Sea Dogs have a lot more success at home. And the second one I would say is Rookie of the Year award for Alexi Joseph. And it's hard to believe that of all the great players the Sea Dogs have had, they've never had a player win Rookie of the Year. So I do think that would be a cool honor. I know he's inching his way up the leaderboard in terms of scoring. Certainly has looked like a Rookie of the Year candidate, I would say. So it'd be a great honor for him, and for the Sea Dogs, a nice sign that the future is bright.
Round it out, Seth.
I would say consistency. We've seen all year, like I talked about earlier. I mean, they win 2, they lose 2. They win 2, they lose 2. Every time I've checked the last 10 games this year, it's been 5-5 or 4-4, 1-1. Like, you never know what team you're going to get every night. And I also mentioned it. They lost to Halifax 8-5. The next night they beat them 7-0. Like, if they can put a consistent product on the ice, I think that the team can go very far. And I'm going to copy Luke, and I'm going to do a stocking stuffer. I would like to see, an exciting run in the playoffs. I mean, I know a championship might be, everybody wants a championship, but even like to take out a big dog like Chicoutimi or Moncton or even Charlottetown, just because of the 4 Newfoundlanders, like it's kind of a built-in rivalry. I feel like that'd be great just for the guys' confidence. It's still kind of a young team. We're going to have a lot of the same players next year. So just to build their confidence with like a little deep playoff run or taking out Moncton early or something like that, just to get their confidence going.
Who brought this guy?
Would be amazing.
Yeah. Who invited him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not that bad. We'll go. I got some questions, obviously, from some of the fans. Anobi Salapis, Dustin, do you see Blake Pilgrim Edwards being a good fit as an overager for the Mooseheads?
I got to be transparent. Who's that? Sorry.
All right. That's that question.
On to the next one.
On to the next
Sorry.
one. All
Sorry.
good. Seth, what is the status on Tyson Gogan and his timetable on returning, if you can give that away?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a tough road to recovery for him. He had a tough injury against Blandville early on in the season. He stepped out of the penalty box and got blown up, but obviously wasn't a, like a malicious hit or anything. And he was gone for 2 or 3 weeks, came back, and then he got injured again on his first game back. And from what I heard, he will be back for the Gatineau series. That's what I heard. When I talked to him last, he said that he'll be back the first games of the new year, which is against Gatineau. But, we've been wishing him all the best, and he's been a huge loss for the regiment recently, especially with our depth scoring. And again, it's just been a difficult year for him, but he's a strong kid, and he'll be back in the new year.
Dwyer 32. So this could be Gordy's burner account.
Yeah, it's got to be Gordy's burner account.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's not a question for Seth. It's for Muchie. How excited are you to see your favorite Newfoundland Regiment team on Thursday, or Scout on Thursday?
That's my good buddy Jack Dwyer. That's Gordy's son. That's his oldest.
Oh,
so,
that's how Gordy listens to make sure that. All right.
So I went to school with Jack, and we were buddies ever since we were kids. So looking very forward to it. I always pop down into the dressing room beforehand. I love seeing Gordy and all the boys. So looking very forward to seeing them. But sorry, Seth. I think that the Islanders are going to come out humming here. It's going to be tough for you guys. They want revenge. They want revenge from the last trip to Newfoundland. They want revenge.
Remember, it's Christmas.
Newborn rivalry.
I know. Well, it was a great rivalry with Bathurst, and now it's continued with Newfoundland. It's my favorite two teams to watch to play each other.
And superfan Brent DeBorn, he wants to know if Pat is a morning person.
Brent actually texted me this, and everybody that knows me in this chat is already laughing.
Yes.
That would be the hardest no you have. Most definitely not. And of course, the reason for those that don't know that Brent's asking this is because the Eagles and Islanders, Luke knows. So am I going to be seeing you tomorrow at the rink? Are you going to be there?
Yes, yeah, I'll be there.
Very good. So yes, our two teams are actually playing tomorrow at 11 a.m. So as much as I don't like mornings, I'm looking.
Oh, it is 11 a.m. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, sold out school day game.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll get a chance to see you guys at the rink, not just Thursday, but Wednesday. Hopefully the timing should work out for us to get there in time to watch the Moncton Newfoundland game tomorrow night. So I'm just looking forward to the 11 a.m. just for the I've done it thing, check another thing off the list, right? Like I'd not to make this podcast about me because I would never do that, but in all my time broadcasting, I'd only done the 18 cities, and then in the month of November, I began and finished with a new city because we went to Newfoundland, and then we had that neutral site game of sorts in Fredericton. So that was kind of cool to see new places, and yeah, the 11 a.m. game, it'll be something different. But yeah, traditionally very much not a morning person, but tomorrow's the exception.
Love it. Gentlemen, we thank you for joining us on this Tuesday night, giving up your Tuesday night to join us on this trade preview show. And almost all success to your teams in the second half. Obviously, can't get all right. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. Happy holidays to everyone.
Same to you. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Everybody.
All right. And now we can concentrate on our team a little bit. What do you want, sir, under the Christmas tree for this team, other than the GM of the Year award for Taylor?
Oh, geez. I think, anybody's watching live this will be kind of a repeat of what was discussed. That'll come out on the show. Wednesday. I know what's in the Flames' hand. Taylor and Rick don't have much control over it, but I think I would absolutely love the reunited decor combo duo pair of Morin and Fortier Gendron.
Yeah.
They were just so good last year. We actually saw Morin bring his offensive side of the game because he knew, Fortier Gendron was back there.
Yeah.
help out defensively.
And it was like that when he had Hamel too. He could just free it, just go. And
just go.
He had a guy back there to cover.
Yeah. So that's kind of under my, I think that's kind of the gift from Santa that I'd love to open up under the Christmas tree. But, you know, in terms of, you know, maybe some forward depth, Maverick, Rousseau, Hamel from the Remparts, you know, a Lulevec from Rimouski, I know is, you know, he got traded from Halifax to Rimouski, you know, last year for, you know, for a reason. He wanted to be closer to home. You know, there's depth acquisitions. I don't think we need a top 6 forward. I think our top 6 is pretty good, but at the same time, you know, if number 5 comes back, that's going to have a domino effect on our roster, right? So that's likely going to be the result in, you know, one of our top 9 forwards having to be traded out. So we'd have to bring in, you'd have to replace that player on the roster, right? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, I'd love to have Morin back, but you know, if we can't make it happen, that's quite all right. You know, I think, you know, the 2 big fish are Lavoie and Bernier, and by the sounds of it, both guys are going to Chicoutimi, believe it or not. So from there, you're just picking and choosing who you want. But, you know, it's also Taylor McDougall. You know, he could have a guy playing for the friggin' Dallas U18 Stars for all we know, and
Detroit Little Caesars,
the Little Caesars, or U18, you know, the Johnstone Tomahawks in the you know, North American Hockey League or something like that. That's an absolute stud of a defenseman that's we can get for free, and that's the benefit of having, you know, a world-class coach like Gardy McDougall and a GM who was formerly working for an agency, right? Like they've got the connections to make stuff like that happen, and we'll see. You know, we saw I think is it JP Hurlburt of the Kamloops Blazers who left the US you know, under 17 team to join Kamloops. Well,
see that maybe.
Look, I don't think we'll see the other Mutrin in the second half, but you know, there's things like that can happen. And
he was in the building a couple weeks ago.
You know, maybe there's like,
I think
someone's dad's from Bucktouche, and you know, his son happens to be playing in you know, Australia, and he's
one of them loopholes.
Yeah, like loopholes. Loophole ads are free ads, and those are what we love.
I think I'm with you on 5. Would like to see him back. One other little wrinkle, and I don't know how his season's going, but what I would like to see under the tree is a finisher for 18. Is a winger finisher. And again, I don't know how his season's going, but if Calgary's not going to let 5 come back,
you're going on the sump.
I'm
going
to hope and a prayer. Again, that's less than 5 coming back, I think. But you may see some NCAA guys that maybe aren't having the success they thought they would early on. Maybe there's a chance they come back. So, I mean, I have no thought on this. Haven't heard anything, but just driving home tonight, I was like, man, what if Sump Pump was decided to come back?
He's playing second line minutes in Providence, so
that's pretty tough.
I mean, it's tough for him to come back like that. Same thing for Vidicek. Like Vidicek's absolutely legged it up. There's no
he's not.
There's no shot.
Karchek as well. I think he's in the A.
Yeah, and even that we'd have to lose a euro. Have to lose a 20, or not a 20 or euro.
Yeah.
And a 20.
I think just
roster spots.
Finding depth. I mean, before I was thinking about the guy that I was like, well, if you want to go get a young guy to play with Desi, who isn't Bolsherman from Rouen, it's Philip Bayou.
Yeah, that's a price tag, though.
Yeah, that's a price tag. That's if you're not worried about 2028, that's a price tag. You heard it on the live. Brisson from Val-d'Or. I think if 5 was to come back, I think a nice little depth defenseman would be Anthony Paré. So Valdor's a nice little training partner. I wouldn't mind. And then a player that's Olivier Lampron from Sherbrooke. I mean, that's a guy that isn't playing this season. That could be one of those, hey, if we get this guy, is it him that's not playing? Yeah, him that's not playing. If he plays X amount of games, you get this package. If he plays X amount of games, like that feels like a Max Cote style deal that kind of is off the radar. I don't know if we're going to see a, pardon the pun, wild trade deadline. I just don't think that's Taylor's style. I mean, you look at last year, we had, I think, each 7 guys we wanted to add to the group, and he added 3.
I'll throw out a name here in a second.
But yeah, I think it's a situation where I like the depth that we have. You saw it on the Instagram today. Like, if this is the group that they stuck with, I'm okay with this group. I think this group can get to the finals, and I'm okay if they don't add much. I think they will. I think you'll see some depth. But that's where I'm at. I think they're 3 pieces away. I don't know where those 3 pieces are. If there's 2 forwards and a D, if there's 1 in each position, if there's 2 D and 1 forward, I think they're 3 pieces away from being a arm in arm with Chicoutimi in the second half. Who, fun fact, we play twice in the month of January. So we're going to see them right after both teams have kind of loaded up. And the other interesting thing is none of the trades are going to have to wait till the World Juniors.
Yeah.
Because the only guy that's there is our guy, and he's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of what I'd like to see under the tree.
I'll throw out a name right now, and I think we can get him for a Max Cote-like price. Teammate of Desi's in St. Hyacinthe, William Dumas from Drummondville.
Okay.
I think he'd be a guy that can probably fit into a third line spot and can chip in offensively when needed, similar to a Max Cote. And I don't think he would cost very much. And you know what? If it's a St. Hyacinthe guy, he probably knows. I think I don't think you have to look very far to get a background check on a player like William Dumas from Drummondville. So that's my Max Cote like acquisition.
So you got him, I got Lampron.
Okay. I'll go William Dumas. I know he plays with his brother in Drummondville. Who that cares?
Yeah.
Want to win? You want to win a championship? I think he's already won a championship because he was with Drummondville when
he won the Route 55 championship this year in the outdoor series.
This is William. I think William won a championship because he's been with Drummondville for a while. He won with Drummondville in
2022. As a rookie?
Yeah. So he's no, it's 2024. Yeah. So he has championship pedigree. And when you want to, he's also he won the U18s with Caleb. He's won a Q championship. So he has that winning pedigree that you want to bring to teams that want to win. So I think that's a guy that you can maybe go out and maybe get for a 3rd round pick or a 2nd round pick. And is he around next year as a 20? Probably not.
Yeah. So
you go and flip him and maybe do what you can to get the same thing you got back for him, like you did Max Cote.
Yeah.
I think it's, he's the type of player that I think you want on this team. I know his character is off the charts. He works his tail off. So if I'm a betting man, I think I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Drummondville's selling, if William Dumas is our first acquisition.
And I think I should have asked Rick this. When you're looking around, how much are you looking at what Everett is doing, what Medicine Hat is doing, what Brantford is doing? Like, you don't have to go get a ton of playoff success. This team had a playoff success last year. You've got Gabe, you got Mercier, you got Binkley, Caleb, Lounsbury, Sampson. Batchelder was around, Aiden Diamond was around, Forche, your goaltender. So they have guys that have been through the ups and downs of the playoffs. So it's just finding those little pieces. And like I said, I think they're 3 players away. We'll see how many we end up adding. But yeah, getting close to an hour, so we'll finish this off. I'm excited. I love this time of year. Like I don't think we'll see a second half like last year. I think we'll see a second half, like I said on the Instagram story. This is a team that's going to take advantage of their opportunities. They're very well coached, and I think this is going to be, as long as they fire the DJ, there will be a lot of hype and fun around that rink in this second half, because you saw what happened in the second half last year, and I think that's what we're looking at in the second half. What is your slight expectation for this, other than championship?
I think we're going to lose some games.
Yeah.
I think that's I think that the second half schedule is pretty tough.
Yeah.
But it's I think I'll say it again because it's going to come out on the show. Tomorrow is, if we can stay right there with Chicoutimi and finish second overall in the league, we're guaranteed home ice until the final, right? So I think that's key, and I think we will see moves to make sure that happens. And again, don't know anything, but if it's not the first move, I'm expecting a player like William Dumas to be a Moncton Wildcat after in the new year.
Beauty. Thanks to everyone who joined us for the hour. Again, we are not back until January 5th. In that term, we will look to have the general manager on the show to talk about the trades. And we're trying to line up a pretty big guest for the week after that. So as always in this winter Christmas season, A, don't drink and drive. B, be safe and have a wonderful Christmas with your family. But you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We'll be all over the place. If there's a big deal that goes down, we will have you covered. And again, thanks to everybody that watched, and thanks to the 5 guys that joined us. Pat McNeil from the Eagles, Luke Match from the Islanders, Seth Hyde from the Regiment, even though, we'll see. I'm kidding, of course. Dustin Lorette of the Moosehead Nation podcast, and Mr. Jamie Tozer of Station Nation. Jeremy, thank you for coming back. And hey, man, I want you to have a safe travels and a merry, very, merry Christmas.
Thank you. And remember, tune in on Saturday night on Flow Sports to see if I make an appearance at the Barrie Colts game.
And to all of you, podcast out tomorrow. Other than that, we will see you January 7th. Have a great night.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.